الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق وأعز المرسلين، حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين، سيما بقية الله روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا، حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. قال الله الحكيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ومن يتوكل على الله فهو حسبه، إن الله بالغ أمره، قد جعل الله لكل شيء قدرا. آمنا بالله، صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Dear Mu'mineen and Mu'minat, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As we approach the month of Ramadan, we all need to prepare ourselves for this spiritual journey of the month of Ramadan. In fact, the month of Ramadan is a month in which we are guests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we are His guests in a spiritual journey and not a physical one. And that is why in this invitation the host expects us to starve on the physical side so that we can indulge on the spiritual side. Normally, if you are a guest somewhere, they won't expect you to starve, because hosts in this world, they cover the physical aspects. They invite you physically, and they host you physically, and they feed you physically, and therefore they won't make you starve physically. But in this spiritual journey of the month of Ramadan, we are expected to starve the body so that the soul, so that the ruh can indulge in the blessings and the forgiveness, the three aspects that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions in the famous sermon: أيها الناس إنه قد أقبل إليكم شهر الله بالبركة والرحمة والمغفرة. That it is a month full of blessings, a month full of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and a month of forgiveness. Therefore, it's a spiritual journey for us to gain from those, gain the blessings, the real barakah, gain mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and gain the forgiveness, so that inshallah we deserve to be amongst the people of paradise. As we want to prepare for this journey, I want us to reflect on one hadith, and I'll be brief. After that, if anybody, any of the mu'mineen or mu'minat have questions, inshallah we'll have a discussion or Q&A. But just a brief reflection on one hadith of Imam Ali ibn Musa al-Rida alayhi afdal as-salawat wa tahiyyat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. This narration, in fact, is one of the most beautiful narrations with respect to how to prepare for the month of Ramadan. It is narrated from Abu Salt al-Harawi. We have numerous narrations, in fact, from Abu Salt, from Imam Rida alayhi salam, who was amongst the companions of the Imam. He says, دخلت على الإمام أبي الحسن علي ibn Musa al-Rida alayhi salam in the last Jumu'ah, a day like today, the day that just passed. He says, I entered the gathering of Imam Ali ibn Musa al-Rida alayhi salam in the last Friday of the month of Sha'ban. Today was the last Friday of the month of Sha'ban. And he said to me, the Imam, فقال لي يا أبا الصلت. He said to me, Ya Aba Salt, this is the last Jumu'ah of the month of Sha'ban. He says, فقال يا أبا الصلت إن شعبان قد مضى أكثره وهذا آخر جمعة فيه. Most of the month of Sha'ban has gone. This is the last Friday of it. فتدارك. So these are the points I want us to reflect on. If you can keep the point form in your mind, mental point. Number one, he says, فَتَدَارَكْ فِي مَا بَقِيَ تَقْصِيرُكَ فِي مَا مَضَى مِنْهِ. Number one, make sure you make up in the remaining days of it your shortcomings in the past days of it. So in the month of Sha'ban, it is very important that we are helping, in fact, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in his month with fasting, siyam. If you did not get the chance to fast until this day of the month of Sha'ban, make sure you fast some days of the remaining days of the month of Sha'ban. That's an example. A month of blessings, a month of multiplication of good deeds. If you did not have the chance to be charitable in this month until today, make sure you do that. But the Imam gives other examples. He says, وَعَلَيْكَ بِالْإِقْبَالِ عَلَى مَا يَعْنِيكَ. In this last few days of the month of Sha'ban, be more concerned of what is important and what is significant and what matters to you. Do not go after things that are not important and not significant and do not matter to you. Now, when we say that, it is not referring to the things that may matter to us on a physical sense, because you might think of many things that matter to me on a physical sense. But here he is telling him, be more concerned of what really matters. Be more conscious of what really makes a difference in our journey, in our spiritual journey. I want us to reflect on this briefly. Most of us, at any given time in our life, we have something that matters to us. And as we grow, we realize that what we used to care about years ago, it is no longer a concern. Now we're concerned about something else. We move on from that, again something else comes, and we realize that that second item is no longer significant, and we're now having a third item. And we move on from that, and we continue. This is how we grow and mature, in fact, as human beings. For example, a child at some point in his life, perhaps all he cared about is a certain costume. Buying a certain costume, a certain type of shoes, shirt was so significant to them. A certain toy. As they grow older, maybe they get to a point where they need a certain bicycle. All what they want is that bicycle. If only I could have that bicycle. Or if only I could have that console. Yeah? Maybe some of the youth can relate to this part. The consoles, you know, the game, PlayStations and whatever else. If only I could have that. Basically, it would complete my life. My life would be perfect. If only I could have that. Obviously, being allowed to play as much as I want on it as well, then life would be perfect. And we move on. We get to another point. Our next toy may be a motorcycle. If only I could have a motorcycle. And we move on. And I'm trying to give examples for different age groups. Perhaps you can relate to some of those. Then the next thing is, if only I could have a car. The next thing may be, if only I could have a husband or a wife. If only I could find the right partner and get married. That's all what matters at that time. Moving on, we want the house, the children, and other things that matter to us in this life. Perhaps a degree that I want to get, the job that I want to get. And that's what matters now. If I look back, even if I have all the things that I've always wanted, and I have them, perhaps at a university age young man or woman, having a bicycle is not something that they really care about. They may have it sitting there collecting dust because that's no longer what they want. But at some point it was all what they wanted. So is this what we care about in the physical world that we're living on a material in a material sense? Is this really what matters? Is that what the Imam says, وَعَلَيْكَ بِالْإِقْبَالِ عَلَى مَا يَعْنِيكَ? You should be forthcoming and more concerned about the things that matter to you. Is he referring to the physical things that maybe today you should be mostly concerned about getting the car or getting the job? Believe it or not, very soon after that, that would be history. Getting a job is no longer. It's like, when can I retire? And so on. Life goes on. So this is not what the Imam is saying. عَلَيْكَ بِالْإِقْبَالِ عَلَى مَا يَعْنِيكَ. What matters to you spiritually. Because this is a spiritual journey. What elevates our soul. What purifies us. What helps us get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because that is what matters. That is what really matters. If you have the qurb ilallah, the maqam of the nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, believe me, my brothers and sisters, nothing in this world matters anymore. All what you care about is that relationship. Maintaining that relationship. That becomes the number one priority. If we understand its value, if we understand how it makes life more pleasurable, how it makes even the pains in life and the calamities in life easy and pleasurable. I've said it several times. When they asked Lady Zainab salamullah alayha of all what happened in Karbala, she says, I saw nothing but beauty. Because they asked her, how did you see what God did to your brother and your family? She says, I saw nothing but beauty. مَا رَأَيْتُ إِلَّا جَمِيلًا. She sees beauty because she sees how what is happening is elevating, is helping them ascend and gain more qurb ila Allah. So it doesn't hurt, it doesn't pain her on a spiritual level. Yes, of course, loss of beloved ones and the oppression and how humanity is behaving is painful, no doubt. The fact that human beings could be so crucial and so basically the animal characters that come out of them, to see that it hurts. It hurts because they care about humanity. Otherwise, no matter what happens in life, you would see nothing but beauty because you have gained the maqam of the status of qurb ilallah. This is what وَعَلَيْكَ بِالْإِقْبَالِ عَلَى مَا يَعْنِيكَ. Be concerned about your soul, your ruh, your nafs, getting closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, purifying. If we're concerned about that, then nothing else, all the trivial things that happen around us in life won't matter. Whether we have to strive for a better living, we work and we do all these things, but we are doing our duty. Whether we achieve on a physical level or we don't achieve, we've done our duty. The rest is, or all of it is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We do our part and that's it. And therefore the outcome won't matter. And pleasure is always there if we reach that maqam al-qurb ilallah. And that is what the Imam is saying, وَعَلَيْكَ بِالْإِقْبَالِ عَلَى مَا يَعْنِيكَ. Be most concerned about your soul in these last few days of the month of Sha'ban, so that you prepare yourself for the journey. So he says, وَأَكْثِرْ مِنَ الدُّعَاءِ وَالْإِسْتِغْفَارِ. So the second point, the first point actually is very broad. Be most concerned about your ruh. Assess yourself on a spiritual level. Put your time and your priority for your ruh. That now I want to enter this invitation and be the guest of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Shahrullah. I want my ruh to be ready, my soul, my spirit to be ready. وَأَكْثِرْ مِنَ الدُّعَاءِ وَالْإِسْتِغْفَارِ وَتِلَاوَةِ الْقُرْآنِ. You have few days left. Don't leave the recitation of the Holy Quran until just the month of Ramadan. Start from now. You know, it doesn't work in the way that the body and the soul, both of them work very similar in the sense that there is a very normal curve. Okay, it's not an abrupt thing. You cannot wake up at 10 o'clock every morning and then out of a sudden expect your body to get up at 5 o'clock. Okay, it doesn't work like that. You have to work it naturally. Yeah, slowly you come back and back. You cannot not fast all year and expect to have easy fasting suddenly. That's why we have recommended fasting throughout the year, and then we have in the month of Rajab and Sha'ban more days that are recommended and important, and then we come to the month of Ramadan and we fast easy. It's a lot easier because we have been preparing for it, the physical aspect. The same thing applies to the ruh. We need to start the journey of purification so that we further purify in the month of Ramadan. We need to start reciting the Quran. We need to start reciting the dua in the last few days. Realize that this is a different time we're approaching and we need to prepare for it. It is not about the food. Unfortunately, many of us, I saw somebody sent me a picture of the shopping for the month of Ramadan. If you see the picture, you'll be shocked. Basically a huge kitchen, and the kitchen floor was filled with bags that now they have to put away. I don't know where they would find space for them, because most of us, our cabinets, our pantries and our fridges are full already. And then we go for the month of Ramadan and we do all this big shopping and we go crazy about shopping for the month of Ramadan. And where are we going to put them? As if during this month it's going to be some sort of a famine and some sort of economical disaster, that we won't have food and supermarkets won't be there, and therefore we need to, unless some may say, well, we want to do our shopping before, because in the month of Ramadan we don't go out shopping anymore. We concentrate on ibadah and Quran and so on. That's a different story. But in any case, just like we prepare for that physical fasting, let us make sure we do prepare for the spiritual journey with dua and istighfar, seeking forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also the recitation of the Holy Quran. Start reciting more and more daily so that inshallah it would be easy when the month starts to do at least one khatam. My dear brothers and sisters, the month of Ramadan, the month of Quran, the least you could do is one khatam, the least. Some mu'mineen do 3 khatam. Some I know they do more than that. But many of them, they do 3 khatam. No, do 2 khatam. No, do at least 1 khatam, reciting of the Holy Quran with reflection, I say it. Pay attention to the meanings. In fact, we will have the Quran recitation prior to iftar, prior to the short lectures, inshallah, during the regular weeknights. And in the weekend, we might have a little, maybe longer program, even maybe after Salat, interactive sessions and so on, after iftar. However, the recitation of the Holy Quran, that juz that you recite, and I say it, my dear brothers and sisters, if you don't understand the Arabic of it, read the English. Read the Farsi, read the Urdu, read whatever language you understand. Because most important is to reflect on the Quran. Obviously, you need to learn the Arabic if you can. But if you have not learned yet, read the Quran in the language that you understand. If we do the recitation in Arabic, you're sitting with us, listen to the Arabic, and read the language that you understand. You gain the benefit of listening to Quran, because that is actually, Quran is barakah in every angle of it. Looking at it is blessings. Listening to it is blessings. Reading it is blessings. Further than that, if you reflect and you act on it, you have completed the Quran. That is the real Quran. فَإِذَا قَرَأْنَاهُ فَاتَّبِعْ قُرْآنَهُ. That is the real Quran, is when we reflect and we act on the ayat of the Holy Quran. So inshallah, we make sure we prepare ourselves towards that. So we start reciting daily until we get to the month of Ramadan, so we can have more time for reciting the Holy Quran. The next point, the Imam says, وَتُبْ إِلَى اللَّهِ مِن ذُنُوبِكَ. Besides the istighfar that you need to constantly say, have a conscious mind that is reminding you of all the things that you want to return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from. The path of sin, and I mentioned last night, in fact, the path of sin is opposite to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The month of Ramadan is the invitation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You cannot go on the path of sin and reach the invitation. It doesn't work. You can't be going in the opposite direction and expect to reach your destination. If your destination tonight was here and your home was south of the center, you could not go further south and expect to get to the center. If your destination is east, you cannot go to the west and expect to get to your destination, unless you say, well, I'm going to go around the world. You know. But that's not how the spiritual journey works. There's no around the world. If we are going on the path of sin, my dear brothers and sisters, we are not going to be guests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are not going to arrive as guests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It doesn't work like that. Either you're going towards Him as a guest to the invitation, or you're going in the opposite direction. And therefore the Imam says, وَتُبْ إِلَى اللَّهِ. He says, وَتُبْ إِلَى اللَّهِ مِن ذُنُوبِكَ لِيُقْبِلَ شَهْرُ رَمَضَانَ إِلَيْكَ, so that the month of Ramadan comes to you. Not, this is the beauty of this being invited by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the month of Ramadan. The month comes to you. This invitation is very different. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes to you. The host comes to you. The month comes to you. In the sermon of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, إِنَّهُ قَدْ أَقْبَلَ إِلَيْكُمْ شَهْرُ اللَّهِ. He says, شهر دعيتم فيه إلى ضيافة الله وجعلتم فيه من أهل كرامة الله. You have been invited as guests, the guests of honor to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But how does it work? He says, it comes to you. أقبل إليكم. It is coming to you. The guest is not the one who has to travel. You prepare yourself and the host comes to you. The month comes to you. لِيُقْبِلَ شَهْرُ رَمَضَانَ إِلَيْكَ وَأَنْتَ مُخْلِصٌ لِلَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. Make sure you are pure. You are a real guest in the gathering that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has invited us for. Then the next part, he says, وَلَا تَدَعَنَّ أَمَانَةً فِي عُنُقِكَ إِلَّا أَدَّيْتَهَا وَلَا فِي قَلْبِكَ حِقْدًا عَلَى مُؤْمِنٍ إِلَّا نَزَعْتَهُ وَلَا ذَنْبًا أَنْتَ مُرْتَكِبُهُ إِلَّا أَقْلَعْتَ عَنْهُ. 3 points very similar. You need to purify in every sense of the word, in every aspect of your life, existence. One is you have things that people have left with you, make sure you return it. Amana. Whatever it is. You owe someone, pay them. If you can, obviously. Don't have any basically unpaid accounts that you can pay and you can take care of. Don't have any lingering issues with people. Don't have any ill feelings in your hearts for anybody. وَلَا فِي قَلْبِكَ حِقْدًا عَلَى مُؤْمِنٍ إِلَّا نَزَعْتَهُ. Purify your heart. Make sure your heart doesn't have any ill feelings for the mu'mineen. Purify your accounts. Purify your heart. And your actions, make sure there's no sin that you normally commit, وَالْعَيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, unless you have stopped. أَقْلَعْتَ عَنْهُ. You quit. Okay? Quit smoking. That's an example. You might say, well, is it a sin? I would say it is. It is a big crime you are committing by, harming yourself. If you are a smoker, don't get offended. Quit smoking before the month of Ramadan. Naza'ta. Remove it. Any bad habits, any bad ill feelings, remove them from your life, from your heart, so that you enter as guests pure and purified. The next point he says, وَاتَّقِ اللَّهَ وَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَيْهِ فِي سَرَائِرِكَ وَعَلَانِيَتِكَ. He says, be conscious of your duty to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in everything, what is hidden and what is apparent in your actions, and also have reliance upon Him. All of what we discussed above cannot happen without the help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of these points. Whether it be the initial stage of being concerned of what matters and what is important for our spiritual journey, or the istighfar, or the dua, or the recitation of the Holy Quran, or the purification in every sense. All of these things cannot happen without the help and the permission from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, وَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ, and he recites this part, وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ بَالِغُ أَمْرِهِ قَدْ جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدَرًا. And then he says, وَأَكْثِرْ مِنْ أَن تَقُولَ. This is the last point. He says, in the last few days of the month of Sha'ban, say this statement very frequently, as frequent as you can. But don't say it just verbally, don't utter it verbally. mean what you say. Be conscious of the meaning and say it with its meaning. He says, وَأَكْثَرْ مِنْ أَن تَقُولَ فِي مَا بَقِيَ مِنْ هَذَا الشَّهْرِ اللهم إن لم تكن غفرت لنا فيما مضى من شعبان فاغفر لنا فيما بقي منه. He says, say this statement frequently. O Allah, O God, if you have not forgiven me in the past days of the month of Sha'ban, forgive me in the remaining days of this month. فإن الله تبارك وتعالى يعتق في هذا الشهر رقابا من النار لحرمة هذا الشهر. This is another sacred month, another important month that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this month frees many people from the hellfire and from being on the path towards the hellfire, because that is what leads them to it. It is not that God wants to send people and then He frees them. No, they're going on a path that leads to hellfire. He helps them and helps them in the path of purification so that they turn away from that in this month. Let us ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are amongst those who are freed from the hellfire in this month, who are forgiven and who are preparing to be the guests of honor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the month of Ramadan. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst those who listen to what's said and follow what's best. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Any questions? I just realized it's 1 o'clock in the morning. It's 1:15, or in the afternoon, according to this one. Yes. Awesome. So if the question is, if you missed fasting from the previous month of Ramadan and you did not make it up until the new month comes, what do you pay? Fidya is what you pay. It's called fidya, and that is ta'amu miskin, to feed one person. So I would say, let's say average of $10 maybe, more or less. It's maybe less, but I think $10 is a reasonable amount to pay for feeding one person. That is the fidya, which is wajib if you do not make up the fasts that you missed from the previous month of Ramadan until this month comes. And it only occurs once, so if you miss them again, you don't have to do them. If you miss the same ones of the previous year, 2 years in a row, you don't. But obviously, if you miss this year's, next year, you should. But I would suggest that mu'mineen and mu'minat, those who have qada, do it immediately after the month of Ramadan, after the 3 days, which is not recommended to fast the first 3 days. After that, it is actually recommended to make up anything that you have. And perhaps if you don't make it up at that time because it's still summer, it's long days, you have the winter, the good time. You could make them up. Don't wait until the next time it gets longer days. But yeah, it's important to make them up as soon as possible. Don't leave them until it's closer to the next month of Ramadan. But yeah, that's, I hope that answers. Any other questions? No questions. Let us remember all mu'mineen and mu'minat, especially those who passed away recently. In fact, there was one of the mu'mineen in South Africa that was martyred, in fact, as he was trying to protect the Masjid al-Imam Hussein in South Africa. Let us remember him and all mu'mineen and mu'minat with the recitation of Al-Fatiha ma'a as-salat ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا وارث آدم صفوة الله، السلام عليك يا وارث نوح نبي الله، السلام عليك يا وارث إبراهيم خليل الله، السلام عليك يا وارث موسى كليم الله، السلام عليك يا وارث عيسى روح الله، السلام عليك يا وارث محمد حبيب الله، السلام عليك يا وارث أمير المؤمنين ولي الله، السلام عليك يا ابن محمد المصطفى، السلام عليك يا ابن علي المرتضى، السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء، السلام عليك يا ابن خديجة الكبرى، السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور. أشهد أنك قد أقمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وأطعت الله ورسوله حتى أتاك اليقين. فلعن الله أمة قتلتك، ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك، ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأصلاب الشامخة والأرحام المطهرة، لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها، ولم تلبسك من مدلهمات ثيابها. وأشهد أنك من دعائم الدين وأركان المؤمنين، وأشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الرضي الزكي الهادي المهدي، وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولدك كلمة التقوى وأعلام الهدى والعروة الوثقى والحجة على أهل الدنيا. وأشهد الله وملائكته وأنبياءه ورسله أني بكم مؤمن وبي بكم موقن بشرائع ديني وخواتيم عملي، وقلبي لقلبكم سلم وأمري لأمركم متبع. صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وعلى أجسادكم وعلى أجسامكم وعلى شاهدكم وعلى غائبكم وعلى ظاهركم وعلى باطنكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء، أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه، أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء، أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء، أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. يا الله 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 يا الله، نسألك وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم يا الله أن تكشف السوء والمكروه عنا وعن شيعة أمير المؤمنين بحق هذه الأيام المباركة يا أرحم الراحمين.